People hate taking risks. They don't like the word, they don't like the feeling, they don't like even thinking about the word or the action of taking risks. I completely understand. Of course, you want to be comfortable. Your brain wants to live this comfortable lifestyle. Your brain's trying to protect you, right? The less risks, the better, is what you think. But you do know that the famous phrase, high risk, high reward. And it's not even about that. You also do realize that at every point in time, as long as you're alive, you're always taking risks. When you leave your house, you're taking a risk. When you're eating your breakfast, lunch, dessert, whatever, you're taking a risk. What if you choke on your food? What if you leave your house and then a car hits you? Is that a risk you're willing to take? Well, clearly, but you don't think of it that way. You just see it as going outside for a walk. But you never know what's going to happen in life. You never know what's going to happen in the future. No one can truly tell what's going to happen in the future, okay? Or at least when it comes to things that is out of your control. I've spoken to a lot of people that has told me that they want to make a lot of money in the fastest time possible. So I say, okay, well, if you want to do it and do it legally, then maybe start a business or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's an easy one that you can do. Anyone can do, actually. And then the guy's like, no, that's too risky. What if, the amount of capital that I'm putting into this business, what if I lose the money? What if it doesn't go well and it was just big waste of time? And it's like, okay, sure, I get that, but you can also start businesses that don't require any sort of capital. All it requires is your time, and as we all know, time is money, right? But then the person is like, no, I'm just going to join the corporate ladder, and it's easier, or how do I say this? Less risky. There's still risks, obviously, but it's less risky. And it's a bit more of a straightforward route compared to starting a business. There's a bit more comfort. There's a bit more safety. Okay, at least I know that there's an expectation that is met within the corporate world or blue collar, white collar kind of work, because the paycheck at the end of each month, etc., right? Things like that. And I get it. Okay, that's the type of person you are. You want that stable kind of lifestyle. That's the type of life you want to live. And there are people, albeit it's probably a few, but there are people that actually prefer that kind of lifestyle, in a sense where, yeah, stable, but more so on the point of, yeah, they think they're suited for that and they'll be satisfied and they'll be satisfied with that kind of lifestyle. The reason why I say the minority are like that is because I believe personally that a majority of people don't like that. Yeah, they like the comfort. Yeah, they like the stable income, whatever. They like to know that, okay, they're fine, whatever, for the time being until AI takes their job, right? But at least, yeah, but they say all those things, but a lot of the time, those people are not satisfied with life. They feel like they want more. They feel like they need more. They feel like they need to create. Humans are creative creatures. Humans love to build, to create, to explore, to theorize, to invent. We have all those things hardwired into us that makes us who we are as humans, right? And when you are in the corporate world, especially depending on what you're doing within that world, you're restricted. You're restricted of your happiness, your freedom, your time, and what's your hardwired to feel or need, which is the need to be free, to create, to learn. And I'm not saying you can't do those things in the corporate world. Of course you can. It depends on what your position is. But at the same time, you're still restricted in a lot of areas that a majority of people don't like, which is why a lot of people, when they describe true happiness, they describe it to be as, okay, you having true happiness is, okay, being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whom you want. Of course, there's some caveats to that. No one can 100% be free, but that's pretty much the gist of it, right? At least if you had that, being able to do what you want, when you want, wherever you want, with whom you want, at least if you were to strive towards that, or you were within that realm of that, then you'd be more free than the majority of other people who are not as free as you. So there's that, right? So this all comes back down to risk. You know, a lot of people, they want to live the kind of lifestyle where they are geographically free, financially free, etc., environmentally free, whatever. Yet they don't want to take the risk. They don't want to take what's necessary. They don't want to take the steps necessary to get to that level. And that's what's holding them back. There's other things too, of course, but the fear of risk, the fear of things not working out is one of the big ones. And I've spoken to quite a few people that has told me this. And those people are around the ages of 20. Some are even within their late teens. And it's like, bro, you have the time. You're in university right now. What are you doing? You're literally watching anime. You're literally doom scrolling on your phone. You have the time to invest your time into something that is more meaningful. And I'm not saying that having free time is a bad thing. Of course, having the free time to watch anime or play games, whatever. I'm not saying that. You can do whatever you want with your time. You can have free time. You can play video games, whatever, cool. But you can't tell me that, yeah, I know that starting a business is a good thing if I want to be financially free or geographically free and I want to make a lot of money in the fastest time possible. But at the same time, I don't have time or it's too risky. That's usually one of the most common excuses. And it's like, okay, yeah, but nothing is ever truly gained without taking any sort of risk. That's one. And two, you do have the time. Everyone has time. You have the same amount of time as Michael Jackson. You have the same amount of time as Michael Jordan. You have the same amount of time as Cristiano Ronaldo. And look at the type of people they would be able to become. So, yeah, you have the same amount of time as all the other people who are able to make it in life. And all the other people who are able to make some sort of business, even during their 30s, 40s, even while they're doing a full-time work, you know? I was watching this video on YouTube and it was on the topic of what it means to live a successful life. And so many people would think, oh yeah, successful life, you know, money, fast cars, all the people are, you know, the status and everything. But the video is talking about the fact that no, that is not what it means to be successful. What it means to be successful is doing the things that you want to do. Okay? Instead of going for the usual, the normal, the boring, the mundane, you're stepping out of that. You're choosing to take more risks. You're choosing to do things you don't usually do, to step outside of your comfort zone, to explore new things, to do new things, and to become a better person because of it. And you doing that over a long periods of time is what would make someone more successful in life. And he spoke about this guy in the video. He spoke about this guy called something Duchamp. No, was it Duchamp? No, isn't Duchamp the artist? I forgot, but it was basically this sous chef who was at the height of his career and he was in his like 30s or 40s and he wanted to write books. And he knew that, you know what, him writing a book, what's the point? It might not do anything, but I'm going to take the risk anyways because he felt like he needed or wanted more in life. So he wrote the book, he sent it off to the publishers, whatever, and they loved the book and his life changed forever. And yeah, he was exploring, he made a lot of money, he gained a lot of status, he was on TV, he was really living life, meeting a lot of new people. And that's what people would say is a successful life, rather than the money and the fast cars and whatnot. So, yeah, that's what it really comes down to. But then you could say, oh yeah, but you know, starting a business, it's tricky. I need to think of something new that's going to work, and it's like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can just go with what already works, because you must understand nothing is new under the sun. I'm pretty sure that's a scripture from the Bible as well, actually. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun. Everybody steals from somebody else. Michael Jackson did not invent the moonwalk. Cristiano Ronaldo, his celebration pose. A lot of people speculate he took that from Michael Jackson, by the way, but he didn't invent that. Like no one, yeah, people invent things, but those inventions are inspirations from whatever came before. That's usually the case, okay? Nothing is new under the sun, you know? So don't think that you need to try and become some big brain human being and start this huge, massive company business, whatever, agency, you can just take what already works and just put your own spin on it. Or you can literally just copy. You can just copy what works and then just do the thing yourself. But then that's another issue because nobody wants to do that because it takes too much work and it's like a hit or miss. Will I be able to make it work? And it's, for the most part, you can make it work, but what stops the person from making it work is themselves because they're lazy or they're impatient as well. That's another huge one, right? So, you are your own worst enemy. So it's up to you what you decide to do for your life. But if you want to start a business, but you're afraid of the risks, then I guess starting a business is not for you. Starting a business takes a lot of risk and it takes a lot of belief in oneself. For sure. Do you have belief in yourself? Do you have full belief in yourself? I'm personally not the biggest fan of plan B. Some people like to say, yeah, but let me get a degree first. So if I do decide to try out this business and it fails, at least I have the degree to fall back on, And it's like, okay, cool. I completely understand that. That's for sure. But even the job market is absolutely just cooked, for lack of better words. The job market is in shambles. People are struggling to find work these days. People are taking months to a year to 2 years to find work, and they're still struggling. So they're having to work odd jobs just to, sustain themselves while they look for full-time work to do with their, degree or master's, whatever, And they don't find any because, they need experience, but they don't have any experience. And, they don't have much of a big network or anything, so it's not like they can get in that way either, via insiders. Yeah. Nowadays, the entry is just rising and rising and rising. And the degular graduate from university, even if it's a good university, is struggling, especially in the West. And they're taking so much time, and it's like, bro, imagine if you at least used even some of that energy that you're putting into finding a job, use some of that to, I don't know, start getting into coding, start getting into sales, start getting into, it could be anything. It could even be knitting for all I care. But people can make a lot of money having a knitting business. Just scale it up. And the thing is, there's no you're not capped. There's no threshold. You just keep scaling compared to in the corporate world. You're heavily restricted and you need to be able to suck people's, for your own gain. That's just how it is. You're not your own boss. And again, if that's what you want, sure. But that's not how you win in life. It's not how you win in life. Unless you're an executive, of course. But even then, that's extremely difficult. I remember talking to someone and he said it's around 1%, sometimes even less than 1% to become an exec in anything, especially when it comes to the corporate world. And I'm like, wow, it's really that difficult, huh? So then it comes back to the question, what do you want to do? Do you want to be financially, environmentally free the fastest time possible? Because a lot of people are doing it at such early ages. 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds traveling to Thailand, 20-year-olds traveling to Thailand, traveling everywhere because they can. They can afford it. Not because of parents, not because of family and friends, off their own back, due to what they have done. Due to the business that they've created. Due to the fact that they started a hobby, they were so good at it, to the point where other people wanted their skill. So they bought their skill, and look, they're making all this money. Yeah, it's crazy, but take risks. Believe in yourself, take risks, don't be afraid, and whether you fail or not, it doesn't matter. Just keep picking yourself back up and keep going. And try again, actually. You never know. You trying again could be that time that you actually succeed, that you actually are successful and you win and you make a lot of money. Or, this is Maxilio Fontaine. Goodbye.